My name is Claire Miller, and I'm a birdwatching guide in Plano, Texas, which means I wake up at 4 in the morning to lead rich tourists through muddy wetlands so they can check rare birds off their bucket lists. This particular Tuesday morning, I'm trudging through the marsh in my worn-out boots, binoculars hanging around my neck like a badge of honor for the working poor. There, see that flash of yellow in the oak tree? I point toward a warbler that most people would walk right past. The group of 5 tourists squints through their brand new binoculars, probably worth more than my monthly rent. Magnificent, says one woman in pristine hiking gear that's never seen actual dirt. She hands me a $20 tip like it's pocket change, which for her, it probably is. For me, it's lunch for 3 days. By 6 p.m., I'm at the local gym, the only place in town I can afford a membership. The weights feel heavier than usual after hauling equipment through the wetlands all day. I'm struggling with a barbell that's clearly too much for my tired arms when a shadow falls across my bench. Need a spot? The voice is smooth, confident, with just a hint of Texas drawl. I look up to see a woman with blonde hair pulled back in a perfect ponytail, blue eyes that seem to see everything, and hands that have never seen a day of real work. She's wearing workout clothes that cost more than my car payment. Sure, I grunt, lowering the bar. She positions herself behind me, her presence somehow both comforting and unsettling. I'm Amelia Rogers. I commentate for professional rowing competitions. Claire Miller. I watch birds for money. She laughs, and it's not the polite laugh rich people give to humor the help. It's genuine, like she actually finds me interesting. That's the most honest job description I've ever heard. As she helps me with the weights, I notice her hands, soft and manicured, a stark contrast to my own calloused palms. Everything about her screams money, from her expensive gym shoes to the way she carries herself like the world owes her something good. You're not from around here, I say, wiping sweat from my forehead with a towel that's seen better days. Dallas originally. Just moved to Plano for work. She sits on the bench beside me, close enough that I can smell her perfume, something floral and expensive. I've never been bird watching. Most people haven't. Would you teach me? The question hangs in the air like humidity before a storm. I study her face, looking for signs of mockery or condescension, but find only genuine curiosity. Rich people don't usually ask me to teach them anything except, maybe how to get out of their way. It's not glamorous, I warn. Early mornings, mud, mosquitoes. I think I can handle it. There's something in her voice, a challenge maybe, or just confidence born from a life where everything usually goes according to plan. I find myself nodding before I can think better of it. Tomorrow morning, 5 a.m., Plano Wetlands parking lot. Bring boots and don't wear white. Deal. She extends her hand, and when I shake it, her skin is soft against my rough palm. The contact lasts a second too long, and I feel something I haven't felt in years, something dangerous and electric. As she walks away, I realize I've just agreed to spend a morning with a woman who probably makes more in a month than I see in a year. But watching her go, seeing the way she moves with easy grace, I can't bring myself to regret it. My phone buzzes with a text from my brother Daryl, rent's due Thursday. You good? I count the day's tips, $27 total. Yeah, I'm good, I text back, lying through my teeth. But for the first time in months, I'm actually looking forward to tomorrow morning. The next morning at 4:30, I'm sitting in my beat-up Ford pickup, wondering if I've lost my mind. The parking lot at Plano Wetlands is empty except for a gleaming BMW that costs more than I've made in the last 2 years. Amelia steps out wearing designer hiking boots that still have price tags and clothes that look like they came straight from some outdoor magazine spread. Morning, she says, sliding into my passenger seat like she belongs there. The interior of my truck suddenly feels shabby, all duct tape and coffee stains compared to her perfection. You sure about this? I ask, starting the engine with a cough and a prayer. Last chance to back out. I'm sure. The wetlands are quiet, except for the distant call of a red-winged blackbird. I lead her down the muddy trail, watching her navigate carefully in those pristine boots. Within 10 minutes, she's splattered with marsh water, but she doesn't complain once. There, I whisper, pointing toward a cluster of cattails. Great blue heron. She raises the binoculars I've lent her, adjusting them clumsily. Her fingers brush mine as I help her focus, and there's that electricity again, stronger this time. Damn, she breathes, and I don't think she's talking about the bird. Beautiful, isn't it? Yes, she says. But she's looking at me when she says it. We spend 2 hours walking the trails, and I find myself seeing the wetlands through her eyes. She asks genuine questions about migration patterns and habitat preservation, not the usual tourist nonsense about which birds are prettiest. When a great egret takes flight right in front of us, she gasps with pure delight. "This is incredible," she says, turning to face me on a narrow boardwalk. We're standing close, too close, and I can see flecks of gold in her blue eyes. "Thank you." "For what?" "For sharing this with me. Your world. My world. Like it's something worth having instead of something to escape from." Her hand reaches out, probably to brush a leaf from my hair, and for a moment the whole world goes quiet except for the sound of our breathing. Then my phone buzzes with a text from Daryl. "Truck payments late again. Call me." Reality crashes back like cold water. I step away from her touch, suddenly aware of the gulf between us. She drives a BMW. I can't even keep up with my truck payments. "I should get you back," I say, my voice rougher than intended. The drive back is quiet, filled with unspoken words and careful glances. When I drop her off at her car, she hesitates before getting out. "Same time tomorrow?" she asks. I know I should say no. I know this is dangerous territory, like walking on thin ice over deep water. But looking at her face, hopeful and genuine, I hear myself saying, "Yeah, okay." That evening, I'm back in my cramped apartment above Murphy's bait shop, counting the day's tips on my kitchen table. $73, not bad for a Tuesday. The money goes into 3 piles: rent, groceries, truck payment. There's nothing left over for anything else. Certainly not for whatever this thing with Amelia is becoming. My phone rings. "You missed the truck payment," Daryl says without preamble. "I know. I'll have it by Friday." "Claire, you can't keep living like this. Maybe it's time to think about something more stable." "Like what? A desk job in Dallas?" "You know I can't do that." "I know you're stubborn as hell, just like Dad was." After I hang up, I stand at my window looking out at the town where I grew up, where everyone knows exactly what I am and what I'm worth. Then I think about Amelia, about the way she looked at that egret taking flight, and wonder what the hell I'm doing. The next morning, she's waiting in the parking lot again, but this time, she's brought coffee for both of us in expensive-looking cups from some Dallas coffee shop I've never heard of. "Thought you might need caffeine," she says, handing me a cup that's worth more than my usual breakfast. "Thanks." The coffee is better than anything I've ever tasted, rich and smooth with none of the bitterness I'm used to. We walk the same trail, but everything feels different today, more charged, more dangerous. When we reach the same spot on the boardwalk where we almost touched yesterday, she stops and turns to me. "Claire, I need to ask you something." "Shoot. Are you seeing anyone?" The question hangs between us like morning mist. I shake my head, not trusting my voice. "Good," she says, stepping closer. "Because I can't stop thinking about yesterday." "Amelia?" "I know we're different," she continues, cutting me off. "I know I probably seem like some spoiled rich girl to you. You are a spoiled rich girl." She laughs, surprising me. Fair enough. But I'm also someone who hasn't felt this interested in another person in a very long time. Before I can respond, before I can think of all the reasons this is impossible, her hand cups my cheek and she kisses me. Soft at first, then deeper when I don't pull away. She tastes like expensive coffee and possibility. And for a moment, I forget about truck payments and class differences and all the ways this could go wrong. When we break apart, both breathing hard, she rests her forehead against mine. "Tell me you felt that too," she whispers. "Yeah, I admit, I felt it." 3 weeks later, I'm standing in my bedroom staring at the only dress I own, a simple black number I bought at a thrift store for my high school graduation. Amelia had invited me to some charity gala in Dallas, and I'd said yes before thinking about what that actually meant. Now, looking at myself in the cracked mirror, I feel like I'm about to walk into a lion's den wearing a paper bag. The dress is too loose in some places, too tight in others, and there's a small stain on the hem that I hope people won't notice in dim lighting. My only pair of heels pinch my feet, and I don't own any jewelry worth wearing. This is a mistake. A huge, embarrassing mistake. Amelia picks me up in her BMW, and when she sees me, her face lights up like I'm wearing diamonds instead of discount store fabric. She's stunning in a floor-length emerald dress that probably costs more than my annual income. her blonde hair swept up in an elegant twist. "You look beautiful," she says, and I almost believe her. The charity gala is everything I expected and worse. The ballroom sparkles with crystal chandeliers and women dripping in jewelry that could pay my rent for a decade. I recognize some faces from magazine covers, Dallas socialites who move through the world like they own it. Which, let's be honest, they probably do. Amelia introduces me to person after person, her hand warm on my lower back as she guides me through conversations about art acquisitions and European vacations. I smile and nod, feeling like an imposter in my thrift store dress. "And what do you do, dear?" asks a woman with silver hair and a diamond necklace that catches the light like a disco ball. "I'm a bird-watching guide," I say, trying to keep my voice steady. "How interesting," she replies, her smile never wavering but her eyes going cold. "In Plano?" "Yes, ma'am." "Well, isn't that just precious? Amelia, darling, you always did have such unusual interests." The woman glides away, leaving me feeling like I've been dismissed by the queen herself. This happens 3 more times before I excuse myself to the bathroom, where I splash cold water on my face and try to remember why I thought this was a good idea. When I return, I overhear a group of women near the bar. "Poor Amelia, she's really scraping the bottom of the barrel with this one. I heard she's some sort of tour guide. Can you imagine?" Well, everyone needs a charity case, I suppose. Though usually we write checks rather than date them. The laughter that follows feels like knives in my chest. I turn and walk straight out of the ballroom, through the lobby, and into the parking lot where the rain has started to fall in fat, heavy drops. "Claire, wait!" I hear Amelia's heels clicking on the pavement behind me, but I don't stop. I can't face her right now. Can't pretend this was anything other than a disaster. "Claire, please." She catches up to me beside her car, both of us getting soaked in the Dallas rain. My carefully styled hair is already falling apart, and mascara is probably running down my cheeks. "I heard them," I say, wrapping my arms around myself. "Your friends. They think I'm your charity case." "They're not my friends. They're just people I know through work." "Same difference." "They're right, you know. Look at me, Amelia. Really look at me." She steps closer, rain dripping from her perfect hair. "I am looking at you. I'm nobody. I guide bird tours for $20 a pop and live above a bait shop. You commentate for professional sports and drive a car worth more than my life. So what?" "So what?" I laugh, but there's no humor in it. "So we're from different worlds, and tonight proved it. I don't belong in there, and we both know it. You belong wherever you want to belong." That's easy for you to say. You've never had to worry about anything. You've never had to choose between groceries and gas, never had to wear the same dress to every special occasion because it's the only one you own. The rain is coming down harder now, and we're both shivering. Amelia reaches for me, her hands cupping my face like she did that morning on the boardwalk. "I don't care about any of that," she says, her voice fierce. "I care about you, about the way you light up when you spot a rare bird, about how you make me laugh without trying, about how you're the most genuine person I've ever met." Before I can protest, she kisses me, desperate and hungry, like she's trying to prove something. And damn it, I kiss her back, because even soaked and humiliated, I want her more than I've ever wanted anything. When we break apart, both breathing hard, I rest my forehead against hers. "This is crazy," I whisper. "Maybe, but the good kind of crazy." We stand there in the rain, holding each other like we're the only 2 people in the world. But even as I lose myself in her kiss, I can't shake the feeling that those women were right. We're from different worlds, and love doesn't always bridge that gap. "Take me home," I say finally. "Your place or mine?" The question hangs between us, loaded with possibility and danger. I know what she's asking, know what my answer will lead to. But looking at her face, beautiful and hopeful even in the rain, I can't bring myself to care about the consequences. "Mine," I say, and seal both our fates. The weeks that follow the gala blur together like watercolors in rain. Amelia starts joining me on my morning bird tours, not as a client but as someone who genuinely wants to learn. She shows up in expensive boots that get dirtier each day, asking questions about migration patterns and habitat preservation, with the same intensity she brings to calling rowing competitions. "Red-tailed hawk," she says, pointing confidently at a tree line. "Adult female." "Good eye," I tell her, genuinely impressed. Most people never learn to spot the difference. She grins, pleased with herself, and I feel that familiar tug in my chest. It's been a month since the gala, and somehow we've fallen into this routine. She brings coffee, I bring the expertise, and we pretend the rest of the world doesn't exist. But it does exist, and it keeps reminding us. My phone buzzes with another missed payment notice as we're watching a great egret fish in the shallows. Truck payment, I mutter, declining the call. Everything okay? Yeah, just the usual money stuff. She doesn't push, which I appreciate. Money is the one topic we dance around, the elephant in the room we both pretend isn't there. Later that week, she invites me to one of her rowing commentary sessions at White Rock Lake. I sit in the stands, watching her work with a wireless headset, her voice smooth and professional as she describes the athlete's technique to radio listeners. The stroke rate is climbing as they approach the 1,000-meter mark, she says into her microphone. You can see the determination in their faces now. She's in her element, confident and skilled, and I feel a surge of pride watching her. When she's done, she jogs over to where I'm sitting. What'd you think? You're good at this, really good. Thanks. Want to grab lunch? We end up at a small cafe near the lake, the kind of place where she insists on paying despite my protests. Over sandwiches and iced tea, she tells me about her work, about traveling to different cities for major competitions. I've been thinking, she says, playing with her napkin, maybe you could come with me sometime. To Austin maybe, or San Antonio. I could show you some different birding spots. I can't afford that kind of trip. I could. No. The word comes out sharper than I intended. I mean, thank you, but no. She nods, understanding crossing her face. We're both learning the boundaries of this thing between us, the careful steps we have to take around the money issue. That evening, she follows me back to my apartment for the first time. She's curious about my space, examining my field guides and the photos I've taken over the years. These are incredible, she says, studying a shot of a painted bunting I caught last spring. You have a real eye. Just lucky timing. It's more than that. She turns to face me, and there's something different in her expression. Claire, I need to tell you something. Okay. I'm falling for you. Hard. And I know this is complicated, but I can't pretend it's not happening. The words hang between us like a bridge neither of us is sure we should cross. I've been feeling the same thing, but hearing her say it out loud makes it real in a way that terrifies me. Amelia. I know we're different. I know there are obstacles. But I can't stop thinking about you. She steps closer, and I can smell her perfume, something soft and expensive that makes my head spin. When she reaches up to touch my face, I don't pull away. I'm falling for you too, I admit, the words feeling like a confession. She kisses me then, soft and searching, and I kiss her back with weeks of pent-up longing. When we break apart, both breathing hard, she rests her forehead against mine. Can I stay tonight? I nod, not trusting my voice. We move to my small bedroom, and what happens next is tender and desperate and everything I've been wanting since that first morning in the wetlands. She's gentle with me, patient, and when she touches me it feels like coming home to a place I never knew existed. We move together in the lamplight, whispering each other's names like prayers, and for a few hours the world outside my apartment doesn't matter at all. Afterward, we lie tangled in my sheets, her head on my chest, both of us catching our breath. No regrets? She asks quietly. None, I tell her, and mean it. But the next morning brings reality crashing back. Her phone rings early, and I listen to her side of a conversation about some business opportunity in Dallas. When she hangs up, she looks at me apologetically. I have to go. Meeting with sponsors. Of course. She kisses me goodbye, and I watch her drive away in her BMW, leaving me alone with the scent of her perfume on my pillow and the growing certainty that I'm in over my head. Later that day, my brother Daryl stops by the bait shop. You look different, he says, studying my face. Happy, maybe? Maybe. That woman you've been seeing, the rich one. You serious about her? Her name is Amelia. And maybe. Claire, just be careful. People like that, they live in a different world. They don't always stick around when things get complicated. I want to tell him he's wrong, that Amelia is different. But looking at my reflection in the shop window, I can't shake the feeling that maybe he's right. The storm hits Plano on a Tuesday night in December, one of those rare Texas winter storms that catches everyone off guard. I'm in my apartment when the lights flicker and the wind starts howling like something alive and angry. My phone buzzes with a text from Amelia. Power's out at my place. Can I come over? 20 minutes later, she's climbing the stairs to my apartment, her hair wild from the wind, carrying a bag of groceries and a bottle of wine that probably costs more than my weekly food budget. Figured we might get snowed in, she says, shaking ice crystals from her coat. Thought I'd contribute to the supplies. Snow in Plano is like finding a unicorn in your backyard, something that happens maybe once every 5 years. We watch it fall through my small window, thick flakes that catch the streetlight like confetti. This is beautiful, she says, curled up beside me on my salvaged couch. I can't remember the last time I just sat and watched snow. Rich people don't watch snow? Rich people usually watch it from somewhere warm. Switzerland maybe. Not from above a bait shop in Texas. She says it without judgment, like she's just stating a fact, but it reminds me again of how different our worlds are. The wind picks up, rattling my windows, and she moves closer to me. Tell me something I don't know about you, she says, her fingers tracing patterns on my arm. Like what? Anything. I want to know everything. So I tell her about my dad, who taught me about birds before he died when I was 16. About how I used to dream of being a wildlife photographer but never had the money for good equipment. About how I love this town even though it's slowly killing my dreams. What about you? I ask. Tell me something real. I used to want to be a teacher, she says quietly. Elementary school. But my parents thought it was beneath me, not ambitious enough for a Rogers. Do you regret it? Sometimes. When I'm calling races, describing someone else's dreams coming true, I wonder what it would be like to help kids discover their own dreams. The storm intensifies, and we make dinner together in my tiny kitchen, pasta with sauce from a jar that she somehow makes taste gourmet. We drink her expensive wine from my mismatched glasses, and for a few hours we're just two people falling in love, nothing else matters. Around midnight, there's a desperate knocking at my door. Hard, insistent, like someone's life depends on it. Expecting someone? Amelia asks, looking toward the door with concern. No. I check the peephole but can't see much through the swirling snow. Who is it? Please, I need to speak with Amelia Rogers. It's about her family. Amelia goes rigid beside me. How did they know I was here? You know this person? I don't know. Maybe. I open the door to find a woman in an expensive coat, her dark hair dusted with snow, her face pale with cold and something else. She's beautiful in that polished way that screams money and privilege, like she stepped out of a magazine. Isabella. Amelia breathes, and I hear something in her voice I've never heard before. Fear, maybe? Or guilt? Hello, Amelia. Sorry to intrude, but we need to talk. How did you find me? Kyle told me. He's worried about you. The woman steps inside without invitation, shaking snow from her coat and looking around my apartment with barely concealed disdain. Her eyes linger on the water stain on my ceiling, the second-hand furniture, the unmade bed visible through my open bedroom door. And you must be Claire, she says, extending a perfectly manicured hand. I'm Isabella Crawford, Amelia's former business partner. There's something in the way she says former that makes my stomach clench. Amelia hasn't mentioned any Isabella, and the tension in the room is thick enough to cut. I'm sorry to interrupt your evening, Isabella continues, but there's been a development with your trust fund, Amelia. Your grandfather's estate. We need to discuss it. It can wait until morning, Amelia says, but her voice lacks conviction. Actually, it can't. The lawyers need an answer by Thursday, and with this storm... Isabella sits on my couch like she owns it, crossing her legs elegantly. I have to say, Amelia, this is quite the adventure you're having. Very authentic. The word drips with condescension, and I feel my face flush. I should let you two talk privately. No, Amelia says quickly, reaching for my hand. Whatever you have to say, you can say it in front of Claire. Isabella's smile is sharp as a blade. Oh, but darling, this is family business. Surely your friend wouldn't want to be burdened with our boring financial discussions. She's not just my friend. No? Isabella's eyebrows arch with mock surprise. How serious could it be? You've known each other, what, a few weeks? 2 months, I say, hating how defensive I sound. 2 months, Isabella repeats, like I've just proven her point. Well, that's certainly substantial. The storm rages outside, trapping us all in this small space where the air grows thicker by the minute. I can see Amelia caught between two worlds, her past and whatever this is with me, and I'm not sure which one she'll choose. The thing is, Isabella continues, the family has concerns about your recent associations. Nothing personal, of course, but you know how they are about appearances. What kind of concerns? I ask, though I already know the answer. Isabella's smile could freeze water. Oh, you know. Questions about compatibility, shared values, long-term viability. The usual concerns when someone from our world gets involved with someone from, well, outside our world. And there it is, laid bare like a wound. The truth we've been dancing around for 2 months, dressed up in polite words but clear as daylight. The storm passes by morning, leaving the world outside crystalline and strange. Isabella has made herself comfortable on my couch, producing coffee from her designer travel mug and spreading legal documents across my coffee table like she's claiming territory. The trust fund amendment requires certain lifestyle conditions, she explains, looking at Amelia with practiced sympathy. Your grandfather was very specific about maintaining family standards. I'm making breakfast in my kitchen, but I can hear every word. Amelia sits across from Isabella, her face carefully neutral, but I can see the tension in her shoulders. What kind of conditions? Amelia asks. Marriage, for one. To an appropriate partner, of course. Someone who shares our values, our background. Someone like you mean. Isabella's laugh is like silver bells, pretty and poisonous. We were good together, Amelia. We understood each other. We wanted the same things. I remember us wanting different things. That was college. We were young, experimental. But now? We're both successful, established. We could build something real together. I crack eggs harder than necessary, the shells breaking into sharp fragments. Through the doorway, I watch Isabella reach across the table to touch Amelia's hand, her fingers pale and elegant against Amelia's tanned skin. Think about it, Isabella continues. Your commentary career is taking off. My family's media connections could help you reach national networks. We could travel together, build an empire. And if I don't? You lose access to the trust fund. $2.7 million, Amelia. That's a lot of financial security to give up for, what? A few months of playing house with someone who can't even afford to keep her truck running? The words hit like a physical blow. I set down the egg carton, my hands shaking with rage and humiliation. That's enough, Amelia says, but her voice lacks conviction. I'm not trying to be cruel, just realistic. She's a lovely girl, I'm sure, but what future do you really have? You'll always be paying for everything, always having to lower your standards to match hers. Is that what you want? I walk into the living room, and both women look up at me. Isabella's expression is smugly triumphant, while Amelia looks like she's been caught in a lie. She's right, I say quietly, about all of it. Claire, no. I can't even keep up with my truck payments, Amelia. I live above a bait shop. I buy my clothes at thrift stores. What the hell am I doing with someone like you? Isabella nods approvingly. Finally, some sense. Shut up, Amelia snaps at Isabella, then turns to me. Claire, don't listen to her. Money doesn't matter. Easy to say when you have it. That's not fair. Isn't it? When's the last time you worried about rent? When's the last time you had to choose between gas and groceries? The silence stretches between us, broken only by the sound of melting snow dripping from my roof. Isabella gathers her documents, sensing victory. I'll give you some time to think, she says to Amelia. But the lawyers need an answer by Friday. 2.7 million, darling. That's a lot of bird-watching tours. After she leaves, Amelia and I stand in my small living room, the space feeling vast and empty despite its size. I need to know, I say finally. If you had to choose between me and the money, what would you choose? That's not a fair question. It's the only question that matters. She looks at me, and I can see the war playing out in her eyes. Love versus security, passion versus practicality. I know which one usually wins. I need time to think, she says finally. Right. Of course you do. Claire, this isn't about you. It's about my whole life, my career, my future. No, it's about whether you think I'm worth risking those things for, and apparently, I'm not. That's not what I said. It's what you meant. She reaches for me, but I step back. The space between us feels like a canyon now, too wide to cross. Maybe Isabella's right, I say, the words tasting bitter. Maybe this was just you slumming it for a while, seeing how the other half lives. You know that's not true. Do I? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're about to choose a trust fund over everything we've built together. I never asked for this choice. No, you didn't. But you're making it anyway. The fight escalates from there. 2 months of carefully avoided conversations about money and class exploding into the open. She accuses me of being insecure and stubborn. I accuse her of being spoiled and out of touch. We say things we can't take back, words that cut deep and leave scars. Maybe we should take a break, she says finally, her voice hollow. Figure out what we really want. Yeah, I agree, though the word feels like swallowing glass. Maybe we should. She gathers her things, and I watch her pack up pieces of the life we've been building together. Her coffee mug from my kitchen counter. The field guide she bought to learn about birds. The sweater she left here last week. At the door she turns back to me. This doesn't feel right. No, it doesn't. But maybe that's because it isn't right. Maybe we've been fooling ourselves. She nods, tears in her eyes, and walks away. I watch her BMW disappear down the street, taking with it the first real love I've ever known. The apartment feels impossibly empty after she's gone. I sit on the couch where Isabella had spread her documents, where Amelia had kissed me just hours earlier, and try to figure out how everything fell apart so quickly. My phone buzzes with a text from Daryl. Saw the BMW leaving. You okay? I type back, yeah, I'm fine, but we both know I'm lying. Outside, the last of the snow is melting, leaving the world gray and ordinary again. The storm is over, but the damage is done. January in Plano feels like punishment. The brief magic of snow has given way to gray skies and bitter wind that cuts through my jacket like it's made of paper. I throw myself into work, leading longer bird tours, taking on weekend groups I'd normally turn down, anything to keep from thinking about the hole Amelia left in my life. Great horned owl, I tell a group of tourists, pointing toward a distant tree. They're most active at dawn and dusk. The words feel mechanical, like I'm reading from a script. I used to love sharing these moments with people, but now everything feels flat, colorless. Even the birds seem duller without her here to gasp at their beauty. Are you okay, miss? Asks an elderly woman from the tour group. You seem a little distracted. Just tired, I lie, forcing a smile. Long day. But it's not tiredness. It's the weight of missing someone who was only in my life for 2 months, but somehow became essential as breathing. Every morning I expect to see her BMW in the parking lot. Every evening I catch myself setting out 2 coffee cups instead of 1. The gym is worse. I switch to afternoon workouts to avoid the time when we used to meet, but the weight bench where she first spotted me feels haunted. I can still smell her perfume in the air, still feel her hands guiding mine through the exercises. You look like hell, Daryl says, finding me in the bait shop after another sleepless night. When's the last time you ate something? Eat. A Pop-Tart for breakfast and coffee for lunch doesn't count. He's right, but I can't bring myself to care. Food tastes like cardboard, and sleep brings dreams of blonde hair and blue eyes that leave me waking up empty. She's gone, isn't she? He asks, studying my face. Yeah. Good. Rich people don't stick around when things get complicated. Better you find out now than later. I want to defend her, to tell him he's wrong, but the words stick in my throat. Because maybe he's right. Maybe I was just a phase, something exotic and temporary in her privileged world. Meanwhile, across town, Amelia is apparently making her choice. I hear about it through the gossip network that exists in any small town where everyone knows everyone else's business. She's been seen at Dallas social events with Isabella, the 2 of them photographed together at charity galas and gallery openings. The images show up on social media, professional shots of them looking perfect together. Amelia in designer dresses, Isabella on her arm like an expensive accessory. They look like they belong in the same world, speak the same language of wealth and status. I delete the apps from my phone, but the damage is done. The pictures burn in my memory, proof of what I always suspected deep down. We were never meant to last. A week later, Kyle Flores shows up at the bait shop. I recognize him from photos on Amelia's phone, her business partner and friend. He's tall, well-dressed, with the kind of easy confidence that comes from never having to worry about money. Claire Miller? That's me. I'm Kyle. I work with Amelia. Can we talk? We sit at the small table in the back of the shop, surrounded by fishing gear and the smell of lake water. He looks around with barely concealed distaste, like he's slumming it just by being here. She's miserable, he says without preamble. Is she? She goes through the motions. Shows up to events with Isabella, smiles for the cameras. But she's not there, you know. She's just empty. Maybe that's what she wants. You and I both know that's not true. He leans forward, his expression serious. Look, I don't pretend to understand what you two had, but I've known Amelia for 5 years, and I've never seen her as happy as she was when she was with you. Happy doesn't pay the bills. The trust fund does, though. $2.7 million. That's what she's giving up for Isabella. I stare at him. What do you mean, giving up? She turned it down. Told the lawyers she wouldn't accept the conditions. Isabella's livid. My heart stops. When? Last week. She signed the papers yesterday. The room spins around me. She turned down the money. She chose me, or at least chose not to choose Isabella, and I never knew. Why are you telling me this? Because she's too proud to tell you herself. She thinks you hate her for hesitating, for not choosing you immediately. I don't hate her. Then why haven't you called? Because I'm scared, I want to say. Because I'm terrified of being hurt again, of letting myself hope only to have it crushed. Because sometimes love isn't enough to bridge the gap between two different worlds. It's complicated, I say instead. Love usually is. After he leaves, I sit in the empty shop, surrounded by the smell of fish and the sound of my own breathing. She gave up the money. She chose uncertainty over security, chose the possibility of us over the guarantee of her old life. But she chose Isabella's company anyway. The photos don't lie. She's at another event tonight, according to the social media posts I shouldn't be looking at. Another gallery opening, another charity function, another night of pretending to be someone she's not. I close up the shop early and drive home to my empty apartment. The coffee cup she used sits in my sink, unwashed. Her field guide is still on my nightstand. Small reminders of what we had, what we lost. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. White Rock Lake rowing competition tomorrow. 2 p.m. She'll be there. It's probably Kyle, though I don't know how he got my number. I stare at the message, weighing my options. I could go, could see her again, could try to bridge the gap between us, or I could stay home, protect myself from more heartbreak, except that some things are too broken to fix. The choice feels bigger than it should, like the rest of my life depends on what I decide. Outside, the wind picks up, rattling my windows with the promise of another storm coming. The next afternoon, I'm standing at the edge of White Rock Lake, watching crews prepare their shells for the regional championship. The February air is crisp, carrying the scent of water and possibility. My hands shake as I scan the crowd for Amelia's blonde hair, and I wonder for the 100th time if coming here was a mistake. I spot her at the announcer's booth, professional headset around her neck, clipboard in hand. She's wearing a navy blazer that makes her eyes look impossibly blue, and for a moment my breath catches. She looks tired, though, shadows under her eyes that weren't there before. Isabella is nowhere to be seen, which surprises me. I'd expected them to be attached at the hip by now, making their perfect couple debut at another public event. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the White Rock Rowing Championships. Amelia's voice comes through the speakers, smooth and practiced. The first race will begin in 10 minutes. I find a seat in the bleachers, pulling my jacket tighter against the wind. Part of me hopes she won't notice me in the crowd, while another part desperately wants her to look up and see me here. The women's lightweight 4 is approaching the starting line, she continues, and I can hear the passion in her voice as she describes the technique, the strategy, the pure athleticism of the sport. This is her element, her world, and she belongs here in a way I never could. Halfway through the second race, her voice catches mid-sentence. The stroke rate is increasing as they approach the 500-meter mark. I follow her gaze and realize she's spotted me. Our eyes lock across the distance, and the rest of the world falls away. She fumbles with her microphone, trying to regain her composure. Sorry, folks, technical difficulties. As I was saying, but her concentration is shot. She keeps glancing toward the stands, toward me, and I can see the conflict playing out on her face. During a break between races, she hands her headset to another commentator and starts walking toward the bleachers. My heart pounds as she climbs the steps, weaving through spectators. When she reaches my row, she stops, looking uncertain for the first time since I've known her. "Hi," she says quietly. "Hi yourself. I didn't expect to see you here. Kyle thought you might want to see me. Apparently he was wrong." She sits beside me, close enough that I can smell her perfume, the same scent that's been haunting my dreams. He wasn't wrong. I didn't think you'd want to see me. "Why would you think that?" "Because I hurt you. Because I chose wrong when it mattered." I turn to look at her fully, taking in the pain etched on her beautiful face. "I heard you turned down the trust fund." She nods, not meeting my eyes. "Some things are more important than money." "Like what?" "Like not being bought. Like making my own choices about who I love." The word hangs between us, dangerous and hopeful. My throat tightens with everything I want to say but don't know how. "Then why are you with Isabella?" She looks surprised. "I'm not with Isabella. Who told you that?" "The photos, social media, you two at all those events." Understanding dawns on her face. "Claire, those are work events. Isabella's family has connections I need for my career. But we're not together. We haven't been together." Relief floods through me so fast it makes me dizzy. "Really?" "Really. I told her no the night of the storm. I told her I was in love with someone else." "Are you? In love with someone else?" She reaches for my hand, her fingers intertwining with mine. "Yeah, I am. Desperately, completely, stupidly in love." I'm about to respond when the announcer calls for the final race. Amelia looks torn, glancing between me and the commentator's booth. "Go," I tell her. "Finish your job. I'll wait." She kisses my cheek quickly, then hurries back down the bleachers. But something's changed. Her voice is stronger now, more animated as she calls the final race. I can hear the joy returning to her commentary, the genuine excitement that drew me to her in the first place. And they're off. This is going to be a beautiful race, folks. Look at that synchronization, that power. When the race ends and the crowds begin to disperse, she finds me again. This time there's no hesitation. She takes my hands and looks directly into my eyes. "I love you," she says. I should have said it weeks ago, should have said it instead of wavering when Isabella showed up. "I love your stubborn pride and your beautiful heart and the way you see magic in ordinary birds." "Amelia, I know we're different. I know there are challenges. But I'd rather face them with you than avoid them without you." People are staring now, recognizing her voice from the commentary, but she doesn't seem to care. Neither do I, honestly. All that matters is the woman in front of me, finally saying the words I've needed to hear. "I love you too," I tell her, even when I was trying not to. She kisses me then, right there in front of everyone. Soft at first, then deeper when I respond. I can taste her tears on my lips, or maybe they're mine. When we break apart, both breathing hard, she rests her forehead against mine. "Come home with me tonight," she whispers. "Please. We have a lot of lost time to make up for." I nod, not trusting my voice. She takes my hand and leads me toward the parking lot, past the curious stares and whispered conversations. Let them talk, let them wonder. We're done hiding what we are. At her house that night, we moved together with desperate urgency, months of separation and longing culminating in touches that feel both familiar and brand new. She whispers my name against my skin, and I lose myself in the weight of her, the warmth of her, the impossible fact that she's here with me again. We take our time exploring each other, relearning what we'd almost lost, and when we finally collapse together afterward, both exhausted and complete, I know we're going to make this work somehow. "No more running," she says, as we lie tangled in her sheets. "No more running," I agree. Outside, the Texas wind carries the promise of spring. 6 months later, I'm standing in the renovated visitor center at Plano Wetlands, watching the sunset paint the water gold and crimson. The grand opening of Miller's eco-tourism company was yesterday, and I still can't believe it's real. My name on the sign, my business, my dream finally taking shape. "The last tour group just left," Amelia says, wrapping her arms around me from behind. 15 people, all wanting to book return trips. Not bad for day 2. Not bad at all. She'd used her connections to help me get the permits, secure the funding, navigate the paperwork maze I never could have handled alone. But the business is mine, built on my knowledge and passion, not her money. That was important to both of us. I have something to show you, she says, pulling a small velvet box from her pocket. My heart stops. Amelia. Before you panic, it's not what you think. Well, it is, but it's not traditional. She opens the box to reveal 2 simple silver bands, elegant and understated. I know we can't legally marry in Texas yet, but I wanted to ask anyway. Will you be my partner, officially and forever? The question hangs in the air like sunrise over the wetlands, beautiful and full of possibility. I think about everything we've been through, the obstacles we've overcome, the love we fought for and nearly lost. Yes, I tell her, and she slides the ring onto my finger with trembling hands. But I have conditions. Name them. We split expenses fairly, not equally. I pay what I can afford, you pay what you can afford. Deal. And if anyone asks about our relationship, we tell them the truth. No hiding, no pretending to be something we're not. Agreed. And if your family doesn't approve, we face them together. My family will learn to love you, she says, kissing my temple. How could they not? We stand there watching the last light fade from the sky, holding each other and planning our future. Tomorrow I'm leading a dawn tour for the local Audubon Society, and next week we're driving to Austin so I can scout locations for expanding the business. Simple dreams maybe, but they're ours. I love you, Mrs. Miller, Amelia whispers. I love you too, Mrs. Miller. We both laugh at the absurdity of sharing the same last name, a coincidence that feels like fate. The wind picks up, carrying the sound of nightbirds settling into their roosts. Soon the great horned owls will begin their haunting calls, and the wetlands will come alive with nocturnal hunters. Want to take a walk? I ask. I know where the owls nest. Always. We follow the familiar trail in comfortable silence, our hands linked, our footsteps synchronized. The moon is rising, casting silver light on the water, and I can smell the rich scent of marsh grass and possibility. There, I whisper, pointing toward a massive oak tree. Great horned owl, adult female. We watch her for long minutes, this magnificent predator perfectly adapted to her environment. She's patient, skilled, unafraid of the darkness. Everything I aspire to be. Did you know they mate for life? I tell Amelia. Really? Really. They choose a partner and stick with them through everything. Territory disputes, harsh winters, raising young. They're in it for the long haul. Smart birds? The smartest. The owl takes flight, her wings spread wide against the star-filled sky. We watch until she disappears into the darkness, then turn to walk back toward the visitor center, toward our future, toward whatever challenges and joys await us. One more thing, Amelia says as we reach the parking lot. I got a call today. National Geographic wants to do a story on ecotourism in Texas. They want to feature your business. I stop walking. Are you serious? Dead serious. It could mean national recognition, more clients, maybe even a television deal. How did they hear about us? I may have sent them some information. Along with those photos you took of the painted buntings. I grab her and spin her around, both of us laughing like teenagers. National Geographic. My photographs, my business, my birds getting the recognition they deserve. We're going to be okay, I say, setting her down and looking into her eyes. Aren't we? Better than okay, she promises, and kisses me under the Texas stars. The night air is full of owl calls and cricket songs, the eternal soundtrack of the wetlands. We drive home together, planning our engagement party, our future, our impossible love that somehow became inevitable. Some stories don't have traditional endings. Some stories are just beginnings disguised as conclusions. As we pull into our driveway, I see a pair of great blue herons building a nest in the cypress tree by our pond. They work together, each bringing materials, each contributing their skills to create something beautiful and lasting. Just like us.